Ginger, one of my friends, several years back, she told me that she'd been making her bacon in the oven because it was less of a mess. So she told me how to make it and told me I ought to try it, and I did, and I've mostly been making it like that ever since. It's just so much easier. Now, she told me that she put hers on parchment paper, and I did that in the beginning, but then I realized I didn't really have to have the parchment paper, and I quit doing that. And you can bake it. I can't remember exactly what she told me. I think a lot of recipes you could do a search will say something like 375. I usually, sometimes I'm like a lady my mother-in-law would talk about that liked to cook everything on 500 or broil. I don't do that, but I do I do it like at 400 and just watch it closely. And the bacon grease will accumulate in your pan, so you need to use one with a taller edge. And you can save that bacon grease if you're someone that saves it, or you can pour it into a pan and make gravy out of it. Just make sure you get all the little brown bits out of it. As far as how long it takes, you just kind of have to keep an eye on it and figure out what it takes in your oven, the way your oven bakes, and depending on the temperature. Sometimes I take it out and turn it over just to try to, because like I said, I'm usually in a hurry, just to try to hurry it up, but just kind of keep a watch on it. And you know, some people like their bacon really, really crispy, and then some people like them not so crispy, so that's just personal preference. You'll have to figure out how long to actually cook it, depending on the temperature you use when you make it. I love radishes. I love to eat them raw with salt. I know some people like to roast them, but mine never last that long because I can just munch on them for a snack. In this little garden bed we have radishes and onions and kohlrabi and beets. And they're all doing pretty good. I'll put it in that chair.
So I'm at Granny's here. She's teaching me how to make these. I guess I'd call them like a star, and you get enough and you can attach them all. So this is the first one I made. I got all kinds of tails coming off the back that I'll have to weave in, but it's pretty fun. You just make all these little diamonds and you can attach 2 at a time and then attach the rest of them, and eventually I'll get something that goes around, and then you get enough of them and you can make a blanket. You could make one real small for a kid's blanket, or make a real big one to go on a twin bed, king bed, queen bed, whatever you wanted to do, and it's pretty fun.
I'm supposed to be over here. Mm.
And that's growing up. This is what I eat regularly. This sort of stuff all the time.
So Matt's cooking supper, and he just told me this is what he would have ate when he was growing up. I'm eating Papa's pickled corn out of the jar because it's so good. Hopefully later this summer, or in the summer sometime, we'll get Papa to show you how he makes it. Matt's got some of our ramps that we put in the freezer in the jars. He's going to put in the potatoes. And they smell good. Mm. You see the beautiful azalea. This is a azalea that I don't know the name of it, but my Uncle Henry gave it to me many years ago, way before we even had chickens, so probably going on, gosh, maybe even 20 years ago. So this is where I chose to plant it, back here at the edge of the woods, and I enjoyed its beauty and loved it. And I didn't really think about it when we were building the chicken lot until that first spring. And then I come around the side of on the side of the chicken house, we have doors where you can open them and reach in and get the eggs. And probably the first time I was going to reach in and get the eggs that spring, and I noticed the blooms, I thought, oh, I didn't even think about Uncle Henry's azalea. Now I'm so sad that we blocked the view of it with the chicken house, you know. So I was sad about it. But then the more I thought about it, in the days after that, when I would come to gather eggs or check on the chickens, it's almost, then I decided, no, I liked that we hid it. Not that we hid it, but that we put it in a secret place. It almost made it like it's a secret garden. So when you come around the side of the chicken house, you're greeted in the spring with this beautiful pink blooms. And it's kind of like having your own little secret, because if you're in the rest of the yard, you can't see it from there. So I really love it, though. I love, of course, that Uncle Henry gave it to me, and then I love that it's all these years later, it still has beautiful blooms.
So I have lemon balm here in my herb bed. It's probably time to do my first harvest for that and get the weeds out of it. Lemon balm is good for relaxing, so it's nice to make hot tea out of, or you could just pick it fresh and put it in some ice water. That'd be okay too. It's another one of those things that smells really good, so it's just kind of nice to have around. Valerian smells really good. The blooms smell wonderful. It's the roots that are really, really pungent and really smelly. It is a sedative, so sometimes you can get it at an herb store. If you can't sleep, you can take it, things like that. You have to be careful with this one. It's one that interferes with a lot of other medications. I don't think I would take it unless I talked to my doctor or did some research, but I like to keep it because the blooms themselves smell really good. I have calendula, some calendula that's growing in here. Calendula you can actually eat. You could use it for culinary reasons. We don't eat it. What I do is I will get the blooms and dry them, and then I make an infusion out of it. Anyway, if you infuse the dried herbs into that oil, it is really good for cuts and burns and bruises. It's really good to heal with, so I usually make some calendula oil every year. I also have some cilantro. We'll pick that and dry it and cook with it. I don't like cilantro. I don't like the way it tastes, but other people in the family like it. So we'll work with that. I have some oregano, love oregano. I like to dry it and cook with it. I have some yarrow back here. Yarrow's good for your skin. Look at a little spider in there too. It's another one that's just kind of nice to have around. I thought when I was making this herb garden, and Corey helped me too when we were making it, just what could we grow that would be useful, that would be helpful. Well, we could do the lemon balm and then we can have tea. We can do oregano and we can eat it. We can do cilantro and eat it. So I do have some more calendula that we started in the greenhouse that I'm going to plant, and this little guy just come up all by himself. And I do have some chamomile. I've never really had a lot of success growing chamomile, so I'm going to see what happens with it this year. But chamomile is great. You can do lots of things with chamomile. I mostly grow it and dry the blooms, and when I have been able to grow it, I usually just buy it at the herb store if I can't grow it. And you can drink it. You can put it in a tea. It's really good for a tea. You might even make an infusion out of it and do something with it. But mostly I like to drink it for tea. It's relaxing. So I need to get it in the ground. It is time to plant. A little hole for this to go. That's probably good. So I have chamomile and poppies, and I'm about to go plant them in another bed we have on the other side of the house. She's my favorite. I've always had a soft spot for her.
Did you plant anything right here, Katie?
No, I did not. Back there, I didn't plant anything. Alright, Bot, come along. Oh, look at the sweet girl.
Think about it, I think we should go on millions. Go into freeze amount of it. Start out that way. For that harvest. Correct. Debating the IRS, but we on the run most of the time. But I think it'll work out.
The little wild irises I showed you a few weeks ago are blooming now. You can see how tiny they are and how pretty they are.